Hello, welcome to Yin Yoga for this nice morning practice. Just as a little prep, we are going to get into the frog pose today. So that's one where we're belly down, knees are bent, knees and legs kind of come out to the side, just kind of looking like little frog legs. So make sure you have the support that you need to maybe cushion the knees as you go out to the side, or any trunk support that you need if you cannot come all the way down to the floor. Another thing that we'll do or try to get into today is a supported side lying position. So we'll have support in the ribs so we can open up to the side bodies a little bit deeper than what we normally do there. So make sure you've got blankets, cushions, pillows, whatever you need. Blocks, I've got those over here. I'll show another option with that when we get there, if that's what you have. And with that said, we'll go ahead and get going. So find a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. And think about a nice tall spine. So we want the ears, the shoulders, and the hips to be in alignment. Think about drawing up from the pubic bone to behind the navel or belly button into the spine. Now, another way you can think about that too, and I don't often give this cue, but I probably should a little bit more. Think about a zipper. You're zipping up from your internal organs, your sexual organs, and you're zipping everything up and in. Another way to think about that, you're trying to put on your favorite pair of jeans that just came out of the dryer. They're a little tight, so you've got to kind of suck everything up and in order to get that zipper zipped. So kind of think about that engagement. And then we'll take a slight tuck in the chin. And we'll come into our practice. Good. So taking a moment, is there anywhere that you need to soften? Face, shoulders, belly, hips, maybe even the chest. And then turning that attention and awareness inward a little bit more, focusing on the breath. So as you inhale, maybe through the nose, can you find that expansion of the rib cage? And as you do so, could you pause for a moment and slowly let it out through the mouth? And we'll do that again. Nice slow inhale and expand. Pause. And letting it out. Last time. Inhale slowly and expand. Pause. And slowly release. Good. Fingertips to the side, palms turning up. Inhale, reach, 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 reach. Nice and tall. Touching palms together. Exhale, hands into heart center. Good. Connecting with an intention for your practice. What would you like to give, receive? Maybe you'd like to dedicate this practice to someone or something. And once you have that set, we'll inhale, take the palms back up overhead, turning palms away, growing taller from crown to tail as you bring those arms down. Good. So from here, preparing for that side bending work, let's take the arms up overhead. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to go over to my left. And sits bones are grounded here as you really reach, really expand that rib cage. Good. Now from here, we're going to do a little bit of movement. So big inhale, exhale. I'm going to take my belly button into the spine, a little bit of a C curve roll, nothing too deep or extreme. And then I'm just going to open to the ceiling, looking behind me, taking that arm back to my limit. And then one more time, finding that C curve roll and reach. And opening it back to the limit and stretch. And taking it back to center, using your obliques, your side abs to come all the way back up. Reach, reach, reach. Taking it over to the other side. Good. Sits bones are grounded. And then when you're ready, we'll take that into that little flow. Belly button in, find your little C curve round. And we'll open and stretch. and coming back into that C curve. And we'll open and stretch, taking it back there, and then taking it center and coming back to center. Good reach, and take that down. And I'm just gonna roll my wrist in one direction and then the other when I come up. So take some big shoulder rolls here, forward and back. It doesn't matter what direction you start with. Good. And then from here, get any little movement that you need. And we're gonna start on all fours, and we're gonna just do a couple little cat-cows here before we come down on the belly. So I'm gonna move my bolster cushion out of the way that I was sitting on. Good. So from here, set yourself up for good form, and you can also do this on forearms if you need to as well. But my fingers are spread nice and wide. I'm rooting through knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb. Knees can be under or slightly behind the hips, belly button in. Big inhale, shine that heart forward, tip that pelvis back. Exhale, really round. Pressing away, feeling that upper body stretch. And inhale, coming forward into cow pose. And exhale, really round into cat pose. Good. From here, I am going to make my way down into the forearms and onto the belly. And we'll just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. Good. All right. So from here, we're going to go into, I'm going to give you the option for Sphinx or Seal. So similarly to how we started last week. So those of you that are going to Seal, I'll demonstrate that one first. Take your hands a little forward into the side of the shoulders. Let the elbows relax. Lengthen through the low body. And then you can come a little bit high. Remember, shoulders are in their pockets. You can come really high. Just make sure you're not hanging in the low back here. So you've got support under here if you need that. Those of you that want something a little bit more gentle can follow me through a Sphinx pose here. So shoulders and elbows can be in alignment, or shoulders can be behind the elbows, which is my personal preference for today. You still want to think about lengthening through the low body, rolling the shoulders back. So you're finding this nice little back bend here, this extension, but we're not hanging in the low back. And we're going to be here for 1.5 minutes. And this is the first of 2 that we're going to do. Good. So as you're here, think about expanding the rib cage. Belly button stays in to support that low back. Now, if it feels like you're crunching in the spine, you keep collapsing through that low back, you can't keep the support, lower down out of here and don't stay. Good. Now, this is the first of 2 we're going to do. If you want to take some kind of little neck stretches here, you're free to do so if that feels good. I'm going to look straight forward for me. Good. 30 seconds. Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Carefully, carefully lower out of the Sphinx or the Seal that you chose. Make a little recovery pillow with your hands and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. Good. So you often will see me wiggle my hips side to side. That makes my low back feel better. It is not something you have to do. It's just, you know, what feels good to you. What does your body need you to do? And then from here, we're going to take a real quick child's pose before we come into one more back bend. So hands can come under the shoulders and press yourself up, shift yourself back. For this one, knees can be together as wide as the mat or somewhere in between. You can always have support under the body here as well. And we're going to be here for about 1 minute. Arms can be long in front of you, or you can take your hands back by your ankles. You choose. Good, and then whenever you're ready, we're going to come to all four. So the second back bend we're going to do here is the melting heart, also known as puppy in other yoga traditions. So I'm going to bring a block in here. I'll show you a modification with it. You can also do this modification folding up a blanket or sticking a cushion under here. It's just whatever you have, whatever you need. So from here, some of you might stay here. You want to think about keeping the hips over the knees. You might come to the forearms and shine your heart forward, tipping the pelvis back, similarly to what you would do if you were doing cat-cows and you were coming into the cow pose. So some of you might stay here. Some of you might take that support under the chest or however you need it, taking arms longer in front of you. Maybe that's you. Or maybe you can take the chest all the way down to the ground. We'll see if I can do that today. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to take my chest to the ground. The true one, the chin is also on the ground as well. So you're looking forward just like a puppy dog does when they're playing with you. If you've got neck issues, that's not good or comfortable for you. Take your forehead to the ground and don't worry about the rest. We're going to try and be here for 2.5 minutes. So get myself situated here. So your belly button is in tight here to support that spine. And remember, you might start in a modification on your forearms or on a prop, and then as you open up a little bit more, maybe come into the deeper to the fuller version. There we go. I didn't think I was back too far enough. So coming up on 1 minute. Breathe and expand. As you turn inward, this is a heart opener. Now, what could you open your heart to today? You're coming into the final minute. Good, less than 30 seconds. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I took my chin down. I'm going to come to my forehead first. One hand at a time is going to come in, and I'm going to come out of there. And as I come out of there, you were in that deep extension. Think about just taking a nice mad cat pose here, and oh, that feels so good. Good. So from here, let's go into a pigeon pose. So let's open the hips a little bit before we really open the hips in frog pose. So from this tabletop position, I'm going to take my right knee forward behind my right wrist. I've got some flexion in that right foot too. So kind of think about the toes coming in the direction of your knees. Your heel is going to come towards that left hip crease, but it does not have to touch it. And for most of you, and even myself, it probably will not. But a word about belly down version pigeon. So in this pose, and especially since we're going to be here a while, a floating joint is a risky joint. So if you've got a lot of space under here, fill that in. If you can't fill it in or it's still uncomfortable for you, come onto your back and cross your right ankle over the left knee. That's your modification. You can pull in or you can stay right here, depending on how tight you are. It's the same hip rotation. It's just less intense on your joints here. So be mindful where you need to be. Now, also be mindful, we're going to be here for about 3.5 to 4 minutes, depending. So if you've got sciatica or something like that, be careful about how long you stay here. You might not be able to. So listen to your body. Pain, numbness, tingling, not normal. And come out as needed. Those of you that are belly down, can you think about your weight being more centered? So we don't want to dump it all into the hip side. Maybe a slight squaring of the hip. So maybe that right hip's going to go back just a smidge, left hip's going to come forward just a smidge. You will not have a perfect square. Don't try to force a perfect square. It's a gentle adjustment. Good. So one thing I found here too, or I'm starting to find in my yin practice, I always talk about not to come right into your maximum place right off the bat. So I've been thinking about that too with this pigeon pose, because my tendency is just go ahead and come belly down because I can do that. But knowing I'm going to be here a little bit longer, I'm finding it's been a little bit better for me, especially in the past week, if I ease into that. So starting off at about here, and then as my body gets used to it and settles in, then maybe go into that full. So I'm going to wait until I'm about halfway through to go into the full belly down. And I'm still activating my abdominal muscles here. So it's still like that zipper from the pubic bone to behind the navel, that zipping up. So I'm still drawing up and in. Just over halfway. I'm going to start to make myself come just a little bit more down. Honor your body. If you're someone that starts belly down and it's no longer for you, you can always take a break, or you can transition and finish up on your back into the figure 4. Or sometimes we can start at the figure 4, get a little bit more open that way, and then start to transition into the belly down. Less than a minute. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if you're on your back, carefully roll over to your side, come back to all fours. If you went belly down, carefully come up with care, carefully release. And now we're all going to take that right leg back just for a moment. So reach that right leg back, touch those toes down, maybe press back here. Let the right hip drop slightly. Just feel that nice release going all the way through there. And then from here, if you need to shake something out, you can. I'm going to take that back knee down. Big difference now between my right and left side. I'm going to go right into the left side. So you can go ahead and come onto your back now if you need to do that for this side. You'll cross your left ankle over your right knee or slide that left knee up. Good. And get yourself set up for this version. So foot's in flexion, so your toes are going to come in the direction of your knee. Heel's going to reach towards that hip crease, but it may not touch it. Fill in any space that you may have under that left hip. And maybe you start here and work your way down over time, this is my tighter side today, so this is exactly how I'm going to start. And just like the other side, if you're belly down, think about weight towards the center. Think about the left hip coming back slightly, right hip coming forward slightly. We're breathing and expanding wherever we are in this pose. And when we were in Melting Heart, I asked you, what could you open your heart to today? So I believe we can open our heart to many things at one time. So what else maybe could you open your heart to today outside of the first one that you chose? Over halfway there. Less than a minute. Always coming back to breath, always coming back to intention. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you're on your back, carefully undo, roll over to your side, find all four if you went to belly down version. Carefully come up out of there, sliding that knee back. Good. We're all going to take that left leg back behind us and just reach it back for a moment. Good. Letting that left hip drop for a moment. Good. And then when you're ready, we're going to come in. I'm just going to cross at my ankles and I'm going to come to a seat. So we're going to come into caterpillar here, which is our seated forward fold. We'll move into the frog from there. So I am going to bring in a folded blanket. I'm going to sit on that. And think about, as you get yourself set up here, what do you need? Do you need a cushion or something here to help support you in this deeper fold? Do you need to have legs together or a little bit wider apart? Okay, do you need to have something under your knees for support if you're really tight in the back body? Can everybody, no matter where you're choosing to go, come into a little bit more of an anterior tilt of the pelvis? So that just means the tailbone's going to go behind, hip bones are going to rock forward for a moment. Good. So I'm going to bring my feet in flexion, toes towards the face. I'm sitting nice and tall. We'll be here for 3 minutes. Big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, I'm going to hinge from the hips first, and then I'm going to let myself round and fold and reach. Thinking about breathing into the back body. I'm still expanding that back body with the breath. Over halfway there. Good place to come back to your intention. Less than a minute. It's okay to let the body fold deeper if it's ready for it. If it's resisting a little bit, don't force it. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So low back's going to be a little bit vulnerable here. So carefully, carefully come out. Good. And as we come up, before we prepare for frog pose, let's just take a nice gentle twist to one side. Doesn't matter what side you start with. We're going to do the same thing on both sides. And then we'll take a nice gentle twist to the other side. Good. And then from here, we'll prepare to set up for frog. So I am going to take the blanket I was sitting on. I'm going to unfold it here. Actually, I'm going to fold it a different way. I'm going to fold it in half. The wide half, not the long half. So this is just so that my knees are a little bit more comfortable on the surface than the hard wood or vinyl that I have down here in my studio. And just for an extra precaution, I'm going to take another blanket and place that on top of this one. You just never know with knees, especially when you've got an arthritic knee that's arthritic on the inside, the medial side, which is the side that will ultimately touch down on the floor as to what you might need to make it more comfortable. All right. And because I know I'm tight, I'm going to bring in my bolster cushion here. And I'm going to support my torso on that as my body works towards opening. So to set up, I'm going to come right here. So I know I'm going to need this for the support. So I want that support to be there as I open up. And I'm just going to kind of move back just a little bit here. Good. So from here, now I'm going to turn my toes out to the side. So because we're going into that external rotation, toes, knees, and hips are going to turn out away from the body. And then keep trying to keep the knees and the hips in alignment as I take this out to the side here. Good. So my bad on the video, but I will explain this to you. So you want hips and knees in alignment. You want knee and ankle in alignment. So you don't want your foot to be out here. You don't want it to be into the side. You want that nice alignment here. Good. So my bolster cushion is supporting me. You can take your arms out to the side. And if you're going to stay on the bolster cushion or whatever cushion that you're using, about halfway through, switch sides with your head and neck so that you don't get a cramp in the other side later. So this is still an active pose here. I'm still drawing up from my pubic bone behind the navel. If you're doing this one, you can't quite see yourself in your own video if you make that available to you. Most people don't come back far enough. So I just caught myself. So most people tend to do this one forward of the knee, and then they're wondering, why am I in this pose? So think about coming back just a little bit more. You'll know it when you're there, when your hips are in line with your knees. And they might shake and quake a little bit. That's okay. Remember, you're doing it easier in the beginning, and you're allowing your body to come deeper into it as you stay in this pose. And you might have some muscle memory. So as you come, or the longer you stay here, your body might just want to go ahead and open up into it. That's okay. And I didn't say how long we were going to stay here, but we'll try 3.5 to 4 minutes. If that's not where you are, then carefully lengthen one leg at a time to come out. Or if there's a better way that you need to come out, you can come out that way. Good. And as my body starts to become more open now, I'm going to move this out of my way and come down. So I'm going to kind of stay up just a little bit here because I don't want my bottom to be too much higher than I am, although really, honestly, I should have that. I'm not going to be able to do that part. That's okay. So those of you that watch this later, you'll see me make changes through my own pose throughout because my body changes the longer I am here too. And some days like today, that might not look very pretty, and other days it looks much better, but that's okay. So we're almost there. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So from here, I'm going to carefully take one leg carefully behind me. Once that leg is there, I'm going to lift and take this block out from under me, and then I'm going to lengthen that other leg. Good, and then I'm just going to crocodile it here. So I'm still in that external rotation with hip, knees, and toes. So they're still facing away from the body. They're about hip width apart, mat width apart. I'm just going to make a nice little pillow here, and maybe once again, find a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then as you're ready, carefully make your way up to a tabletop position and bring your knees in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up for that side lying, so side body rib cage opener here. So to do that, I'm going to take one of my blankets. The other one is fine to be where it is. I'm just going to fold that here. Whoops, took too much blanket with me. Good. Now, for me, I'm personally going to use this bolster cushion here. I'm going to put it this way because I'm going to lay over the side, and I'm going to have a blanket on top of that when I do it. Those of you that don't have access to that, I will show you a way you can do this also with blocks. You do want to make sure that you're using blocks or something here more stable. I don't recommend books or anything like that. So you can put your block side to side like this and put a blanket over it so it's a little bit softer. You can do that this direction as well, so coming up a little higher and placing a blanket over it so it's a little bit softer. So you can play with those things. You can also kind of do it, you know, kind of this way, this way, kind of that way. It just kind of depends on where you want to be, where you need to be, what's good for you. So I'm going to come back to where I'm going here with this. And sometimes just a single pillow is all you might need. So to set myself up, I'm going to sit nice and close to this bolster. I'm going to scoot down just a little bit here. Okay. I'm going to sit nice and close to this bolster. And then from here, I'm just going to reach up with that opposite arm, and I'm just going to kind of guide myself to kind of get a nice little side bend over here. If it's okay, you can be here. This is where I kind of recommend that you be in the beginning. So think about arm over the ear. Mine's going to be a little bit more forward because I have my earpiece in there, but then about halfway through, you can give a tug. Your legs can be bent. They can be extended long. It's all about comfort here. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to try to hang out here for 3 minutes. Now you can bring in other cushions here if you need that for the head, and I might actually do that with this folded blanket. Because this isn't about the head and the neck dangling. This is about opening up through the side body. Breathe and expand that rib cage. So I'm trying to hold back a cough here. We have a lot of holding in the rib cage and in the chest area that we often don't think about. We've talked about 2 times now opening your heart to something, and I will invite you to open your heart to something, a third something here. Or maybe you need to send some love and compassion to someone, a group of people, or somewhere. Animals are always included. Good. So as we're about the halfway point here, if you want to kind of grab that other wrist and give yourself a nice little tug here, you can. So because of my earpiece and I'm in a little bit of a different alignment than what I cue you to go through, I'm going to come to my forearm here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to release that arm of that wrist. I'm going to come up. I'm going to place that either beside me for me because I've got the space. I'm going to place it on my cushion, and then I'm going to help myself carefully come up here. Good. So noticing how you feel, we're going to take that right into the other side. So I'm just going to take this to the other side. And then that way my back is not to you. So have that head cushion here if you need it. I'm just going to scoot down just a little bit more. Good. And then from here, whenever you're ready, free arm's going to come up. Big inhale, exhale, taking that over, folding over, opening up. Good. And then from here, we'll be here for 3 minutes. Breathe and expand that rib cage. Legs can do what you need them to do to be more comfortable here. Notice if you are tighter or more open on the side. So my other side is the side that I always want to cough on if I'm going to cough. This side, not usually so much, but sometimes I will. As you begin to come into the halfway point on the side, if you want to reach up and tug on that wrist, arm, wherever it is that you can reach, a little bit more lengthening here, you can. If not, don't go there. Continue to breathe and expand that rib cage. Sending more compassion somewhere. We don't have a lack of a need of that in our world today. Final minute. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Carefully release any grips. Take your top hand where you need to take it to assist you when you come up. Good. And then notice how you feel. Okay, so hopefully everyone feels more open in the front body, more open in the back body and the side body. So now we're going to start to take the spine into some rotation. So a final hip opening rotation here. So I'm going to clear my space. And if you like these props for your Shavasana time, you can keep them close. I'm probably going to use this one as a neck pillow or support here. Get moving that down. So from here, we're going to carefully come onto our backs. And once you come down there, just maybe kind of do just a little bit of a wiggle here. Just kind of get a feel. And then when you're ready, we're going to take the right leg long. Good, and that might even feel good. It feels good to me. Let's all just do that. Take that right leg long. Keep the left knee bent for a moment and just really reach. Kind of almost like you're pressing up against the wall. So you're really kind of pressing down a little bit. And then maybe coming back in, and let's press one more time. Good. And then we'll come back in where the hips are nice and even. Good. We'll take the left knee into the chest. You can pull in through the thigh or the shin. It's going to be your choice. Right hand is going to come on the outside of that thigh. Left arm is going to come long, and we're going to rotate, twisting towards the right as maybe we look to the left. And we'll breathe and expand here. 4, 3 minutes. We're halfway there. Final minute. Noticing anywhere you can soften a little bit more. Where could you release a little bit more? And sometimes coming into more of a release means sinking deeper into a pose. Sometimes that's not the case. So what does that mean for you when you release? Expand as you breathe. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Head and neck will come back to center. Carefully, carefully guide your body back to center. And once you're here, take that knee back into the chest one more time, lengthening through the other side. And then from here, we're going to switch. So right knee is going to kind of come in a little bit here. Or actually, let's leave that foot grounded. Let's do that little bit of release first, like we did on the other side. So lengthen that left leg long, and then really press through like you're trying to press into a wall. And then release out of there. We'll do that one more time. Press like you're trying to press into a wall. And release out of there. Now we'll take the right knee in, hugging in from the shin or behind the knee, that thigh, hugging in. Left hand's going to come to the outside of that right thigh. Right arm's going to come long here. And then when you're ready, we're just going to rotate towards the left. We're looking towards the right. 3 minutes. Breathe and expand. Good, halfway there. 30 seconds. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Head back to center. Carefully come back to center. Good. I'm going to take both knees into my chest and I'm going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. Good. So setting yourself up for Savasana here. You can let everything come long and flop open, which I actually feel pretty good to do today. So that's where I'm going to go. You can always put a bend in the knees. You can be on your side. You can be on your belly. We're just going to be here for just a short bit. So find where you need to go, and we'll be here for a short while. And I will leave you to your intention. Taking some breaths here. Choose stillness, or gently take head and neck from side to side. Choose stillness, or invite movement of fingers and toes. Choose stillness, or carefully bending in the knees, choosing to take the knees into the chest, keeping upper body lowered, or maybe lift it into a full body hug. And then choosing stillness a little bit longer, or maybe any props out of the way that you chose for your Shavasana time. Taking legs long in front of you, taking arms long behind you, and reach and lengthen from the edge of the fingertips to the edge of the toes. Full body stretch, point and flex through the feet, bend and stretch through the hands, twirling wrists and ankles in one direction, and then in the other. And then whenever you're ready, carefully bending in both knees, and you choose rolling over onto your right or left side, the side that's best for you. Contemplating your practice here for a moment. And then whenever you're ready, carefully pressing yourself up back to that comfortable seat. Maybe the same one you started with, maybe a different one. Finding a tall sit, so thinking about the ears, the shoulders, and the hips in alignment. Notice how you feel now versus when we started practice. Fingertips to the side, palms turning up. Inhale, reach, 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 and lengthen. Touching palms together. Exhale, hands in the heart center. Reconnecting with that intention you made for yourself one final time. And we'll take our thumbs to our forehead for good and true thoughts. To our lips for good and kind words. And to our hearts for open and loving hearts. Knowing no effort on this mat is ever wasted, no gain is ever reversed. May you be safe, may you stay well, may you have a wonderful day and week ahead. Namaste.